Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, and I proudly represent New York's 9th Congressional District, which is located in Central and Southwest Brooklyn, and I'm also the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. On behalf of the entire CBC, I'd like to thank my esteemed colleagues, Representative Ayanna Pressley and Senator Cory Booker, for their leadership in reintroducing H.R. 40 legislation to finally establish a federal commission to address and explore reparative measures for the lasting impact of slavery, systemic racism, and racial discrimination in Black America. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank our former House colleague and co-lead on H.R. 40, Congresswoman Erica Lee Carter. I want to thank her for her leadership and for joining us today, as well as our colleagues who are arrayed here. It is an honor to be here today in support of this important and transformative legislation, which the CBC has championed for decades as part of our unending mission to improve the lives of Black Americans in this country. As we celebrate Black History Month, I am also reminded of those who have led this legislation on behalf of our caucus for many years. From Congressman John Conyers, who first introduced this legislation in 1969, to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who led its reintroduction in the last Congress with over 130 co-sponsors.
Yes.
H.R. 40 is a powerful reminder of the challenges we must continue to confront in our country and the long path to reconciliation and accountability for the injustices that have for too long been a detriment to our communities. I can think of no better time to bring forward this legislation than now, a time when we are seeing the erosion of our fundamental rights and freedoms. In just the past few years, we have seen the conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court roll back decades of precedent in race-conscious college admissions. We have seen a persistent and coordinated assault on our right to vote and efforts to dismantle the Voting Rights Act of 1965, one of the most effective pieces of civil rights legislation ever enacted in the United States. We have seen efforts to distort our nation's history and erase Black history in our schools. We have seen efforts to strip away the tools of economic opportunity that allow people to get ahead and build generational wealth. And in just a few weeks of this administration, we have seen President Trump unleash a tidal wave of executive orders to demonize and roll back diversity policies in the federal government while turning over our federal agencies to a corrupt and unaccountable billionaire. We owe it to the communities that we serve not only to stand in the breach against hate and bigotry from this administration, but to also put forward real solutions. Solutions that lower costs, solutions that close the Black-white wealth gap, solutions that make buying and owning a home a reality, and solutions that rectify long-standing issues that make the American dream unattainable for far too many Black Americans. The CBC remains committed to building momentum for this legislation and keeping it at the forefront of our national agenda until it is passed.